Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be your tutorial guide because we are so close to the release of Rust. It's a week away, coming out on the full version of the game. So yeah, let's crack on with it. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you load up into Rust for your very first time is you're going to have to pick a server. I would recommend picking a server that fits your geographical location, whether it be in the EU or in the States, regardless. And also try and find a server with the least amount of people on it at the time you join, because you want to find a quiet server, not lots going on, so you can really crack on and explore the world yourself and not have to worry about kill spawns and things like that. So spawn trapping is a thing in Rust. People can be very, very toxic if you didn't know that already. So be careful with players whilst you're starting off. So finding big structures like this one is a gas station. It's quite good because, like you can see, I'm picking up some loot quite quickly, finding some loot. This is quite a lucky spawn. You will spawn in random locations all over the map, so if you don't find a building or a structure straight away, don't worry about it. Some structures are safe to go to, like the gas stations, the harbour, and I think it's the old mining facilities. They're all okay to go to. Some of them are radiation areas, so you need to wear clothes to go in there, and you need a full set of clothes from your feet to your pants to your top to your hands to your face, or a hat. You need to have clothes on in those radiation zones, or otherwise you'll die of radiation poisoning. I'm in the gas station at the moment. I found a lot of scrap material, so I'm recycling it, because you can recycle it in that cool recycling machine. You can also go down these ladders. Each gas station might look a little bit different, but each gas station should have a recycler in it, and it should also have an underground area as well. So as you can see, we found our first pair of clothing items and a blueprint. Blueprints are going to be what you need to learn to craft new items, so you'll have a already small amount of craftable things at the beginning of the game that you'll need resources for, like I've got a bed and some clothes and things like that, primitive stuff. But for expanded, better crafted materials, you're going to need to find those little blue blueprints hidden inside chests or crates or on drop bodies and things like that. So keep your eyes out for them, and when you find them, just study them. There should say a button that should say study, and if you click on that, then you'll be able to study it. Have a look of your map. If you're not a very map orientated person, not very good with your geography, don't worry about it. It's quite easy to understand, and the maps do seem quite big at first, but once you get your head wrapped around it, you can travel around it pretty easily, as long as you remember sort of paths and locations and things like that. So I'm sure you'll be able to find your way around. Pretty much I'm mining here. I got my rock. When you first spawn in, you'll get a rock and a torch, and that will be it. The rock you can use to mine things like stone, trees, materials like those barrels. And you can always change your graphic settings and things like that, like brightnesses. Overnight, I always make my game full brightness, just so I can see a little bit better in the dark. And then other day, obviously, I bring it down like I just did then. But you're gonna have to have a look around the map. Have a look for an area that I think is quiet and a lot more reserved away from people. As you can see, we're gonna start mining now. We need to get our first bit of resources. So once you find a rock like this, you'll be able to mine it. It'll be a huge, massive rock. Some tinier rocks you won't be able to mine. They're just there for display purposes, sadly. So don't get annoyed if you hit a rock randomly and you're not collecting anything. But if you're mining the right material, you should see in the bottom right-hand screen of your corner, of the screen, you'll be able to see that you're collecting things. Also, when you're out and about roaming, you might see things like these mushrooms or pumpkins or corn or different crops. Pick them up because you're going to need food. As you can see, when I'm mining here on these items, there's little glints, so a little shiny light is on the rock, and if you line up your rock or your mining tool with that glint, then you'll be able to get more of the harvesting materials at the same time. Running through this field, there's hemp plants, these little green bushes that you can press X and pick up. Obviously, as well, smaller materials like tree stumps and small clumps of rock that have got a white outline, you'll be able to pick them up without having to mine them as well. Little resources like that are really important right at the start of the game to get your stone, your wood, hemp, for your cloth and your fabric and things like that. That's what you need, really. The best thing I can recommend is literally using your entire rock until it breaks, mining things like trees and stone, until eventually you'll have gathered up enough resources to really start your own little adventure. And yeah, you don't want to run around trying to find a gun straight away, because gun's not going to stop you from starving to death. And you definitely need to be careful when you're out and about mining and stuff, just in case rogue players might come and try and rush you with a rock or a pistol or a gun or something. So just focus on your materials for now. You might die a few times during this, and if you do, it's going to be really difficult. It will make or break you as a Rust player, whether or not you are capable to get killed and respawn and killed and respawn and keep your love for the game. So it's going to test you, definitely. As you can see, I've crafted a hatchet and a pickaxe with my stone and my wood that I collected before, and now I can mine and collect more materials even quicker with my tools. This compound to my right hand side there is a base, so that's a place where we'll do NPC trading. I'll take you in there soon in the tutorial. But I'm on this hill overlooking that compound. It's a safe haven, so I thought if I build my base quite close to it, I can then, if I'm in a firefight, I can run down there and the NPC turrets will save me. And now we're doing a cool little time lapse of me building my base. So you can't build on the compound or like too close to it, so I had to find an area where I could build. But once you're able to build and you've gathered enough resources, you'll build a blueprints tab, which is the thing in my hotbar right now, and a little wooden hammer, and that's what you'll use to build and upgrade your base. So there's loads of tutorials for bases online. I highly recommend just messing around, doing your own, see what you can come up with. I did this one by myself, not looking it up, but obviously if you're new to the game and you've never seen a base before, you might want to Google a very simple base to start off with and then just experiment and see how well you go. I play with a few different people. One of my good friends, Sith, he plays this quite a lot. He has like hundreds and hundreds of hours on PC Rust. Came to the console edition and helped me learn a little thing or two when it came to surviving and base building, and he's quite an architect. So I've picked up a lot of his teachings and I'm applying them here in my own little base. So you want a TC, which is a tool cupboard, a storage box, and a bed. They're the first three things you should really start crafting. So with your TC, that's going to be when you build your base and you've actually made it your own. You'll see in the corner there on the right hand side of the screen, it says base stats. It should tell you the more you upgrade your base will need different things like wood, stone, metal sheets, things like that. It will need different components depending on what your base is made out of. For now, it's a very basic base, so it just needs wood. When I start to incorporate stone into it and things like that, it's going to ask for stone as well. And the TC is your main thing, really. You need to keep that tool cupboard fed with enough supplies and sort of treat it like it's a living, breathing organism. The more that thing is full, the longer your base will be protected. If your TC ever runs dry, for example, and you're out of the materials, it will start to decay. And that means that if you leave it decaying for a long enough period of time, your walls will weaken and eventually your base will decompose and get destroyed. It'll rot away pretty much. So you have to be careful. It does give you a real lifetime frame as well. So like say if you fill it to the max, it might say you've got a week, and that's a real time week you've got of supplies before you have to keep topping it up. But I always recommend coming on every day, topping it up a little bit, or otherwise your base may decay over a period of time, especially if you're going to go away on a holiday or something like that, or you're going to be off the game for a couple of days or a week even. Make sure your TC is full before you leave, otherwise your base will decay over time and you'll come back to an empty, destroyed base, pretty much. So yeah, I learned that the hard way. I'm mining for more materials because it's very unlikely to have every bit of material already, but like you see, I built a basic thatch foundation first, and then I'm upgrading it with stone straight away. You can upgrade it with wood or metal, but I recommend doing it with stone first because it's sturdy. Don't waste your wood on doing wood then stone. That's what I was making the mistake of. And as we can see, my base kind of looks pretty cool. It's like a little serpent's head sticking out the rocks, and it blends into the surroundings a little bit, which is kind of cool. And like you can see here, I'm running towards the safe zone, so if I was ever in a firefight, I could always run down to the safe zone and the safe zone turrets would kill the people for me, which is good. So I'm in the safe zone now, and there's a few different things like workbenches and a recycle machine like we got before at the garage, but there's also little vending machines and shops which we can purchase things from, like wood, stone, other resources, as well as weaponry and clothes. So if you don't have the materials to craft or build your own stuff, you can always collect what's called scrap. You can get that from mining things or dismantling things, and you'll get these little scrap items, and you'll be able to take them to the vending machines in traders and roaming vending machines out in the world, buy and sell different bits of material and weaponry. So I highly recommend saving up your scrap. Don't be walking around with it if you can help it. Try and put your stuff in a scrap in a chest and lock it away in your base. Only have it on your person if you are taking it to a place to trade it or sell it or something like that. So I'm using the in-game chat system right now. This is a cool little emotes wheel and things like that where you can kind of communicate with people in-game. Voice chat doesn't work yet, so this character who's kind of a bit invisible in front of me is trying to talk to me, so I'm trying to communicate. But I had my biggest mistake here in this part of the tutorial. I had a weapon in my hand. Even a hatchet or an axe for just crafting and mining can be classed as a weapon, and if you hold it out in the safe zone for too long, the safe zone automated turrets will shoot you. So I got killed by the NPC turrets there, and I'm not allowed back into that safe zone for another 30 minutes, and that is what happened. So let's say, for example, you and your friend are in there and your friend wants to show off his new shotgun. He pulls it out and holds it in his hands for too long. The automated turrets will gun him down and you won't be able to see him in the safe zone for another 30 minutes. So I died. I couldn't go back to the safe zone for 30 minutes or so. So luckily I'd showed everything I kind of needed to show in there, and I had to just roam around on my own for a little bit. But the safe zone turrets are the most annoying things ever. Like, if you're on a ban, they will kill you. No matter how close you get to the base, they'll gun you down, so don't risk it. You can find these big lootable crates as well in sites, like I just picked up there. That big lootable crate had a little flame turret in it. You can go and buy them, or you can craft them, or you can find them. So I definitely recommend having a bit of a search once you've got a base set up. As you can see, I'm doing more mining and stuff here, finding more lootable chests. I found some diving goggles. You can actually really get a lot of good loot from diving. So if you can find a tank, mask, flippers, and a wetsuit, you can go diving for like 10 plus minutes and collect some amazing material out in the ocean that not a lot of people find. So I brought my little flame turret guy back to my base, and I'm trying to find a place to put him on the floor. And I've never had one of these before, so I was trying to figure out the best position to put him in. And yeah, I line up a good sight on him. He does have a little weird fire animation, even though he's got no fuel in him, so don't be worried, he can't hurt you. Even if you put fuel in him, he won't hurt you. He'll only hurt rogue people who come into your base. So bear that in mind. If your friend wants to come into your base, add them into your community first. Like there's like a teams tab in the options, so add them to an in-game team before you let them in the base, or otherwise your flame turret will melt them. So don't do that. Inventory management as well for any of you guys out there who have got amazing OCD in gaming. I definitely do. You can really organize your inventory really well. And also a good tip is the tool cupboard can be a great storage chest for materials instead of having to build loads of little chests to put all your items in. So try and see what you can put into your tool cupboard. Some things you won't be able to, and with those things you'll have to move to a smaller storage component. But luckily enough, my stone, my wood, my metal, and all that good stuff can go in the TC. So it's all in the TC cupboard, and you can see my base stats are happy. They're all green, and they're telling me how long I've got of my things. I've also started working on a garden. You can grow your own crops, anything from corn, pumpkins, hemp, so you can get fabric and food easily from your own base. As you can see, that chest has got a little lock on it. You can build locks with wood. It doesn't take a lot of money or a lot of wood. It doesn't take a lot of resources, but you can definitely craft little locks, which are like little primitive things. You can put them on your TC. You can put them on your chests to keep an added layer of protection, and I definitely recommend you do that. But most of Rust is trial and error. You will learn things, you'll make mistakes, you will definitely learn new tips and tricks yourself the more you play it. It's definitely a challenging game with toxic players, and it can be very heartbreaking at times because you could spend hours, if not days, on a base to lose it in a week's time. So just bear that in mind. But fortification is the #1 priority whilst you're base building. So as you can see there, I'm building some metal sheet doors and a furnace. A furnace is a great way to obviously smelt materials and things, but I'm putting that into my base, so I've got a way of smelting my own fuel. You can get different fuels. Some fuels will work in your furnace and others won't. But I'm crafting some sulfur and some metal scrap there. And I'm removing my doors, my old wooden doors that were protecting my base with little wooden locks on them. I'm removing those doors and I'm replacing them with metal sheeting doors to form a much more fortified base. And that is pretty much the base side of things covered. Just get in your base, build your basic foundation, and then just fortify the hell out of it. Keep upgrading the materials, add metal doors in, add little code locks like you can see me adding. I'm adding these little metal code locks to the doors, and you can add your own pin codes in and share them with your friends and things like that. So definitely do that for an extra added layer of security. I'm really annoyed that this base got raided. I spent 2 days with my friends and family, and I wasn't able to actually do much more with this base apart from build it and enjoy it for a little bit before eventually it was raided and destroyed. So that's not very good. That will happen, and it will test you. And Rust is a crueling mistress. So if you can survive the bullying that it gives you, you will enjoy it in the long run. Definitely recommend communitying up with a big group of people so you can feel more safer and secure. And with that being said, we hope you enjoyed. Add your key codes in offline and don't show it to your friends until you want them to join you. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Rust video. Ding dong the notification bell. Peace. And imagine a utopia. Darling, I'm just so fed up with. What does perfect even mean?